She was America's sultry, underaged sensation. He was the eternal Peter Pan of pop. Yet behind Brooke Shields and Michael Jackson's public personas lay two children thrust far too quickly into showbiz scrutiny, longing for threads of normalcy. Over 3 decades, theirs grew into one of Hollywood's most devoted yet perplexing bonds. But following Jackson's death, Shields aims to clarify, finally, the fact from the fiction regarding the truth about their relationship. A bond between two lost children. In 1978, Brooke Shields was a 13-year-old thrust far too soon into a glamorized adulthood. With provocative ads and controversial films that sexualized her prepubescent image, Shields had become the world's most famous teen. But behind the sultry facade beamed out in magazines and movies was a lonely, insecure little girl. Into her turbulent world walked Michael Jackson, a 20-year-old pop sensation experiencing his own accelerated maturation under the harsh spotlight of fame. As the frontman of the Jackson 5, his childhood had been similarly taken from him at an early age. Their friendship represented two former child stars clinging to the last traces of youth and innocence. Shields recalls that upon her first meeting with Michael, she was immediately struck by his childlike qualities, which were present in him despite being an adult pop star. She recognized parts of her own denied inner child in him. Though 20 years old chronologically, Jackson had a playfulness, curiosity, and sweetness that resonated with Shields' stifled youthful spirit. In her memoir, Shields wrote that she and Michael quickly regressed into two little kids, giddily bonding over their shared life experiences. Lacking friends their own age, the famous teen and 20-something pop prince found solace in their bubble away from prying eyes. Free from the packaged professional personas, Shields described their friendship feeling natural and easy. It reminded her of her childhood days. They would enjoy private visits at home, watching old movies, raiding the fridge, or venting about show business with someone else who could relate. For Jackson, his child star friend seemed to reignite long-buried aspects of himself while offering a sense of normalcy he lacked. He craved clinging to his own lost boyhood along with Shields as an escape from pressures. Yet Michael felt equally enchanted by her budding maturity and sexuality despite viewing her with a childlike detachment similar to his fans. This push and pull dynamic started an intense personal and platonic bond between the two former child stars. For over 30 years, their paths continuously crossed and intertwined. While Jackson wanted more from Shields, she says that a conjugal relationship never happened. The seeds of obsession. As the years passed, Shields watched her friend Michael transform physically and emotionally. She matured into a woman, finding love, stability, and pleasure in healthy relationships. But Jackson seemed to drift further out to sea. Her memoir describes her prepubescent fame and sexuality as America's virgin. But she says losing her actual innocence in her 20s proved beautifully awakening. While Shields evolved, Jackson appeared to regress, desperate to reclaim his long-lost childhood. He clung to Shields with an intensity suggesting she embodied his last true childhood friendship. Nearing 30, rumors swirled over Jackson's obsession with befriending young boys and hosting them for secluded sleepovers. Shields admits struggling to reconcile this behavior with the kind and childlike man who had professed his love for her since their early days. She also reveals Jackson had proposed marriage to her repeatedly throughout their decades-long friendship. While flattering initially, his requests eventually felt unsettling. She describes assuring Jackson that while she cherished their friendship, she didn't view him romantically. Everything crystallized during his jarring 1993 claims on live television that Shields was his secret girlfriend. Blindsided, Shields confronted Jackson about dragging her into his fantasy without consent. According to Shields, Jackson just chuckled at her distress. In reality, Shields was dating Dean Cain at the time, the man she would later lose her virginity to. Sadly, she realized her once innocuous, boyish friend had become more man-child than man. She told him once more that romance would never bloom between them. As Shields pulled away, his obsession appeared to dangerously transfer onto a revolving door of much younger boys behind closed doors. The one-time soulmates ultimately drifted into separate life paths, Shields finding fulfillment in marriage and motherhood as Jackson tried to run back time. Platonic soulmates reunited. In the 16 years since Brooke Shields had last encountered her former friend Michael Jackson, the world and the pop icon had undergone some radical transformations. Tales of his increasingly surreal lifestyle dominated headlines, alongside whispers of addiction issues and serial pedophilia accusations at his fantasy home dubbed Neverland Ranch. The Brooke staring back at Shields in the mirror had weathered some changes too. Her fairy tale existence showed some cracks following her mother's death. As she struggled to fill this void while battling postpartum depression, her former friend Michael battled charges of committing unspeakable acts with children. When Jackson died suddenly in 2009 from a drug overdose, the news jolted Shields with bittersweet pangs of nostalgia. She fondly reminisced about their intimate chats, their silly antics, and profound early bond. Despite their decade-long estrangement, Shields agreed to eulogize Jackson during his globally broadcast memorial service. Stepping towards the mic, she transported back 3 decades prior, to when she and Michael were just 2 vulnerable children thrust under hot lights, aging them overnight. Her poignant words underscored that at the core, this was the Michael Jackson she knew best and the one she missed. Addressing the astonishing accusations that had overwhelmed Michael's legacy, she reflected solemnly that she too struggled to reconcile this monster. She longed to rediscover that innocent magic they organically created before show business perverted her friend. Preserving precious memories. In the decades since Michael's death, Brooke continues processing his profound imprint on her life. While saddened by his fate, she focuses on cherishing the gifts that their bond brought rather than any darkness that befell him later on. According to Shields, her life had intertwined with Jackson's during pivotal, transitional moments in her rise to a sex symbol. With a friendship born out of their shared denial of childhood, Jackson represented comfort and escapism when she felt most alone. When they were together, Jackson brought out her silly, authentic inner spirit. And despite his later eccentricities, Shields maintains Jackson's heart remained tethered to the sweet, sensitive boy she first befriended. Shields rationalizes his unsuccessful bids for her hand as acting out of desperation. Nonetheless, his loving friendship gave Shields priceless memories. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think it was appropriate for Michael Jackson and Brooke Shields to be close friends when she was so young? Let us know in the comments section below.